Last year's Canadian champions, third this year at the Canadians. They were the sensation of 1988 in Canada when the then 17-year-old Isabelle joined her veteran partner Lloyd. They were 7th at the Worlds in 1988 and 1989. They looked really ready in the warm-up for this, their original program. There are 3 Canadian pairs here, Lloyd Eisler and Isabelle Brasseur.
Ted, important to note that this is the first of what one might describe as one of the big guns in the pairs competition. So it is up to them to set the standard for the top pairs.
Crowd with them immediately, and she could really sell herself to an audience.
That really has to be mentioned. One of the best double twist lifts in the world. She seemed to float in midair. That was the very jump that they did not do in Paris. A big improvement, double axel side by side. Really the jump that separates the top group from everybody else. Already you can see in the spin the numbers of variations, and also the speed is maintained. Interesting exit out of that spin. This is going to be one of the better performances of the evening.
It's interesting, too, that they're starting just in front of the reigning champions, Gordeeva and Grinkov, which is probably where they would much prefer to be than skating after them.
A difficult spin, one I haven't seen in pairs. You see a tremendous combination there. That's very, very well done. Worthy of any single skater. Ending with probably what would be described as their very best move. That was the carry lift. It really went from end to end. Top senior pair, they can be really pleased with this performance. And what is going to happen here, because this is a superior performance, is that the judges are going to have to give them marks, and as they're one of the top pairs, the marks should be pretty high.
And the crowd is cheering the judges on. They're getting a standing ovation from a jam-packed house here in Halifax. First of the Canadian pairs to come out and skate their original program, and Brasseur and Eisler did not have any kind of a major flaw, and the crowd here just loves them. Let's see what their marks are when we come back. Marks for Eisler and Brasseur are coming out, and the crowd is reacting here. 5.6s, 5.4, 5.7 is their highest mark. A 5.6 from the Canadian judge, Fran Defoe, for required elements. 5.6 again from Fran Defoe, one of 3 5.6s for them. And those are the highest marks that we've seen so far. Of course, they are the first of the top group to skate, and right after them come Gordeeva and Grinkov.
The next competitors from the Soviet Union. Ekaterina, Gordeeva, Sergei.
Here are the reigning world and Olympic champions. Gordeeva and Grinkov came from behind with the performance of the championships to win Europeans in Leningrad. It's hard to remember that for all of her achievements, she is now just about to turn 19 years of age. 3 times she has been world champion and also the Olympic champions.
Very well done. Again, the most difficult element for any of the pairs, double axel side by side, really the test as to who is going to win medals. They did it beautifully.
And that was where they did have a problem in their original program that they didn't win in Leningrad. Such tremendous competitors, this pair, Toller.
Well, Kurt Browning mentioned in an interview that in the competition in Sudbury, he didn't have the killer look. These people certainly have the killer look tonight.
They know they're in Canada. They know Canada has three very strong pairs to challenge them. So far, they're answering the challenge.
Well, if there's a difference between this pair and the Eisler-Brasseur pair, what it really is a question of is the performance level and also the speed, the individual speed. And I think that this reigning Olympic champion pair has just a slight bit more finesse to their pair. But certainly the Eisler and Brasseur are in good company with this pair, because with the way they skated, they're certainly one of the best pairs in the competition.
A moment ago, they went over and did a little salute right to the Canadian judge on the panel, Frances Defoe, who, of course, herself is a former world pairs champion.
Well, Ted, you remember that in the European Championships in Leningrad, I mentioned that the very poor performance they had in the short program was not going to repeat itself in Halifax, and it certainly has not. This, as far as the program goes, is about as good as they could skate. I don't think dramatically it is a masterpiece. I don't think it's like the long program, but this should hold them in a very strong position going into the long program.
Yes. You're looking again at vintage Gordeeva and Grinkov. Their marks in a moment. Gordeeva and Grinkov mastered all the required elements, and the judges like that. A 5.8 from the Canadian judge is one of a group of 5.8s, the lowest mark being a 5.6 from the West German judge. This is for required elements. Now we'll get their second set of marks. These are the artistic marks, of course. And once again, Fran Defoe has given them a 5.8. There's a 5.9 there, two 5.9s, three 5.9s. Those are first place marks right across the board so far for Gordeeva and Grinkov.
Les prochains concurrents, the next competitors. Du Canada, representing Canada.
Lyndon Johnston waited a long, long time for his greatest successes. But now he can savor a silver medal at last year's Worlds and the Canadian Championship this year with his young partner, Cindy Landry. They skate their original to Gershwin. They know that their teammates, Brasseur and Eisler, have skated very well, and they know they have this crowd in the palm of their hand.
big mistake there, Ted, and that's going to cost him. I was sort of holding my breath for that. Those were the jumps, always the problem, side by side. Interestingly, it was Lyndon, who was a very superior single skater, who made the mistake. This is really going to cost him. The unison is great. The program is very well skated. Up until there, they have very, very good speed, but that is going to be a big problem. It'll be interesting to see what Francis Defoe gives this pair, because as you know, she gave 5-6, 5-6 to the Brasseur Eisler pair. But there's trouble here, I think.
They were so hoping that history would repeat because they skated in exactly the same order for their original program last year in Paris. And of course, they were second in that on their way to that silver medal.
There were some very excellent qualities. I like the speed of the program. Cindy has an irresistible charm about her skating. The audience will give them a tremendous hand, but again, I reiterate, there's trouble here because it was flawed by the missed double lutz by Lyndon.
Canada's world silver medalist from Paris last year, Cindy Landry, and Lyndon Johnston. The Canadian flags are out, of course.
Here's the missed double lutz. Very, very unusual and very unfortunate. A double lutz is not even a double axel. It is not as difficult as a double axel, and so that was an even worse problem, I think. What he is picking up on the ice was a piece of ice that I think he took out with his toe pick.
So they leave the ice, and you can tell by the expressions that they are, of course, vastly disappointed with that major flaw in their original program, and that's the key to an original program. You cannot make mistakes. There's a huge piece of ice, you're right, Toller, the size of a brick.
Well, the key is also, Ted, something which has really haunted Canadian pairs for many years, and it's the single skating. A double lutz should be done almost without effort. It is not a difficult jump. I think that he might have gone into the corner a little bit too much and become disoriented. Otherwise, it was a good program, but certainly problems here with the...
So now their first set of marks are coming up, and they do have to pay. Look at this, a 4-7 from judge number 3 from Czechoslovakia. Mind you, that judge's marks have been lower than everyone else's. The Canadian judge giving a 5-3 for required element.
Brasseur that didn't skate well, but this year they did, and this year is the unfortunate privilege of Landry and Johnston.
Well, there are their second set of marks, and that has dropped them at the present time down into 4th place. Still another Canadians and the great Soviets to come.
Natalia, Mishkutenok, and Artur, Dmitriev.
Third in Europe for the last 2 years, the Leningrad pair, Natalia Mishkutenok and Artur Dmitriev. They're coached by Tamara Moskvina, and they are marvelous spinners. take it.
Well, Ted, I have been very deliberate about not saying anything until the very end of the program. This is probably the best performance that we've seen tonight. Why? Because it is a perfect match of artistic skating and athletic skating, and it goes far above the technical abilities of the skaters and become an emotional experience. Now, here you see there's a standing ovation, and I think the judges are certainly going to have to respect that and give them the highest marks so far.
Remember what they did in Birmingham a year ago at the Europeans in their original. They were so great. Be interesting to see what these marks are. Their first set required elements, so the lowest one is a 5.3, which is strange. The Canadian judge has given them a 5.8. And I think that their second set of marks will be even higher. I wouldn't be surprised to see some 5.9s come out there.
5-6, 5-7, 5-3, 5-6, 5-9, 5-7, 5-6. Thank you. They don't know presentation, Hough for presentation.
Now they're very happy, and they should be. Well, there is a 5.9, and it comes from Canada's Judge Francis Defoe, and that puts them in second place behind Gordeeva and Grinkov, and drops Brasseur and Eisler of Canada down into third.
5-7, 5-8, 5-9. 5-7, 5-7, 5-4, 5-7, 5-8, 5-7, 5-7.
United States champions, former world junior champions, Rudy, Galindo, and Kristi Yamaguchi. They were fifth last year in Paris. And Kristi is by far the busiest skater here. She is also in the ladies' competition.
This pair has improved greatly over the last year. I think the most important thing to note is where most of the criticism is coming, the individual skating of the various pairs. Here it's quite the opposite. They are splendid individual skaters in their own right. And their problem, if they have one, is the pair moves. But as I said, they have improved so much this year. Just exemplified by that. That was a beautifully done double twist.
They have this unique pair jump too. They did it.
Those were the double axels side by side, and for the human eye, even for the judges, it's very difficult when the skaters individually jump in different directions. That means you have to watch one or the other, and often you might miss a mistake. Again, you see, because they do not jump the same way, they don't spin the same way, and to demonstrate the unison in the pairs is much more difficult when each one is spinning in a different direction. Performance last year in Paris, Ted, I think that we can both agree that their pair skating skills have greatly improved. They're a real pair this year.
His size and strength has really improved. He really has worked on that, and that's obviously paid off.
Interesting entry into the forward inside death pile. This was certainly a commendable performance. I think probably difficult to judge, and I think they're going to wonder whether or not to put it ahead of the East German pair or even the Canadian pair. I don't think the Canadian pair, but there's a good showing for them.
We'll see. I heard Kristi say she'd be happy with 5.3s and 5.4s. Let's see what they get. Well, they got 5.5. As a matter of fact, 3 5.5s.
5-2, 5-2, 5-4.
So those, compared with everybody else who's skated so far, are about fourth place marks, I would see. Let's see if they go up a little bit for their artistic marks. They should be very comparable, I would think. First two judges gave 5 5s for required elements. So now the marks for their artistic impression, and you can see those first two judges again, 5 5s right there, and that at the present time has put them into 4th place. They've dropped Landry and Johnston of Canada down to 6th. Brasseur and Eisler are still 3rd behind the 2 Soviet couples. Christine and Doug have been 1st, they've been 2nd, and they've been 3rd in Canada over the last 4 years. This is their 3rd appearance in the World Championships. They train with Terry Leach in Kitchener. Greg's from North Vancouver, and she is an Ontarian. Canada's 3rd couple, Christine Hough and Doug Ladret.
Problem, it seems, for so many of the Canadian pairs. Christine did not do her double X properly, and the double X is not top of the line as far as the jumps go. Double Axels are much more highly regarded, so she's going to have to pay for that. I do like their speed, I do like their snappiness, but again, like the Landry pair, and again, they're teammates, they come from the same club, problems with the individual jumps. The audience liked it. There was a snappiness to it, but I don't think the judges are really going to be deceived by it because it was not a program without a mistake. There was a major mistake there, and they're going to have to pay for that.
We'll see just how much when we come back. Third elements for Hough and Ladret. I heard Doug do his own critique there. He said we started off very well. Well, that's exactly what they did do, and then some problems came. So you have kind of a 5-5 from the Canadian judge.
Which Ted is a little bit high. Francis has been judging very well tonight, but I think that for the technical mark, because of the mistake, and I don't think they were quite of the quality that Johnston and Landry was, the 5-5 is a little high.
So let's get their second set of marks and see what, well, she liked that too, because she gets the highest mark there, a 5-6, and that's the same mark that she gave Eisler and Brasseur. So with those, Hough and Ladret are in 6th place, Brasseur and Eisler still 3rd.
Union Soviétique, from the Soviet Union, Larisa, Selezneva, Oleg, Makarov.
The enigmatic pair from Leningrad, Selezneva and Makarov, are by far the most seasoned of the pairs here. He's now 27 and she's 26. They were European champions in 1987 and 89. They were second in Europe this year. They weren't at the Worlds last year. They were World Junior champions way back in 1980 and 81.
And Ted, their career has been erratic, to say the least. Sometimes they skate very, very well. Other times they completely blow apart, like the Olympics in 1988 in Calgary. But this would be the only pair that could push Brasseur and Eisler out of the third spot.
Well, if they skate well, they can do it. They are very seasoned. They know just about anything that can happen at this stage of the game.
Very good double axels and an excellent double twist lift right at the beginning. Many people don't like their style, which they find to be aggressive. I personally do. I have always admired them. But particularly as single skaters, they're probably the strongest in the competition.
And you say aggressive, and I dare say that she is even more aggressive than he is.
I think you have a point there, Ted.
I mean, she's all business out there tonight, isn't she?
This is really also a question of, with an original program, I think that their approach is definitely original. It's unlike any that we've seen. The big question is, do you like it, and do you prefer it to their teammates, Mishkutenok and Dmitriev, who skated to this one, which for me was more appealing. But this is really a question where personal taste comes into play.
Well, right now, Gordeeva and Grinkov are in front, then the second Soviet couple, Brasseur and Eisler, in third place. What will happen when Selezneva and Makarov's marks come out?
The audience liked them, I liked them, but I think with the top three couples, it's really a question of which one do you prefer. It's certainly not because they made any mistakes, at least no mistakes that I saw, and I particularly liked the individual skating, namely the double axels, which were masterfully done. Standing ovation here must mean something.
You know, it's really wonderful, Toller. There are about half as many people in this building as there were in Leningrad, and they're making 10 times as much noise as the Soviet fans made, even for Soviet skaters. That's the difference in audiences around the world. These people love it.
Canadian audiences have always been very discriminating and very enthusiastic about figure skating, and the people in Halifax are no exception to that.
They certainly aren't. They love it here, and no matter what country the skaters come from, if they see a performance they like, they're going to let everybody know about it.
In fairness to the Soviet audience as well, I think the same applies, because we remember the Dushanis, and they certainly were
required elements.
Makarov for required elements.
And what are they getting? They're getting 5.8, a 5.5 from Canada's Frances Defoe. She obviously didn't like them that much. She put them down. She'd probably give them a higher mark for artistic. But I think with those marks, they're going to be able to move past Brasseur and Eisler of Canada. Let's just make sure, though, first of all, with their marks for artistic, which are coming now. Well, Francis did go up a little bit and gave them a 5.7 there, and those are... Well, they have one first place mark and a lot of third place marks, and they are now in third place. They have moved ahead of Canada's Brasseur and Eisler, so Soviets are standing 1, 2, 3 with Gordeeva and Grinkov, the reigning world champions, in first place.
Really take a look at the compulsory figures, because we'll never see them again. For decades, skaters have been practicing the school figures, going around in circles for hours and hours, which must have seemed like theater of the absurd. But for me, it's basically human geometry. Let's take a look. It has been a turbulent year for Kurt Browning after his big win at the World Championships in Paris. Even at the Canadian Championships in Sudbury this year, the quality of his school figures was anything but world class. But here in Halifax, with the composure of the most seasoned veteran, cool as a cucumber, he makes a serious bid for regaining his title by skating excellent figures, the best ever in his career. He was able to place second overall. He is well within range of a gold medal now. This is the new and comparatively unknown American champion, Todd Eldridge. I feel compelled to show this figure, as it is as close to textbook perfect as I have ever seen. His ridiculously low marks had nothing to do with his excellence, and had everything to do with his new face on the block. It also has a lot to do with the ISU decision to abolish school figures forever starting next year. West German skater Richard Zander's winning loop. Like Eldridge, it is close to perfect. Meticulously skated, he easily won and deserved his first place finish overall. Perhaps the real problem with school figures is the fact there is no effective way to mark them honestly. For this reason, I personally am happy to see them go. In this historical moment, David Lude from Taipei skates the last of the school figures. As you can see, the quality is not up to the top two that we saw previously, Zander and Eldridge, and the marks reflected it. But if I had been a judge, I would have given a perfect mark of 6.0. Revenge for all the injustices committed over the years to so many skaters. The final results in the compulsory figures.